Just because you don't bow down and worship a golden statue doesn't mean you don't have idols in your life. In fact, I believe nearly every person in the world struggles with idolatry. Here's a quick way to determine the things in your life which are or could easily become your idols. And just as important, how to get rid of those idols in your life. Try this little exercise. Make a list of all the things that are important in your life, all the things about which you might say, I don't know how I could live without this. Number the list in order of priority, one being most important. Obviously, people watching this video will probably have God on their list. On your list, you can make God all-encompassing, meaning His Word, His church, His Son, His Spirit, worshiping Him, etc. Other things on your list might be your spouse, your children, your job, your hobbies, etc. You might even have things on your list like getting married someday or having children. In other words, some things on your list might be things you are pursuing rather than things you already have. Anything you see as being extremely important in your life needs to be on your list. You can pause this video while you make your list. I'll wait. Okay, got your list? We usually define idolatry as making anything in your life more important than God. So in other words, we think as long as God is number one on our list, then we don't have idols. However, I'd like to suggest to you that that is an insufficient definition. Furthermore, everything on your list, with the exception of God, might already be an idol in your life, regardless of where you ranked them in priority. When it comes to defining idolatry, we usually think of Exodus 20, you shall have no other gods before me. We think before means ahead of in importance, but that's not what the word means. Before me means in my presence, or literally in front of my face. So God isn't saying, don't have anything in your life that's more important than me. He's saying, don't have any gods besides me. God doesn't want to be your top God. He wants to be your only God. To bring anything else into the presence of God, into the place where God dwells in our hearts, is to make that thing an idol, a false God. The best definition I've ever heard for idolatry is making a good thing an ultimate thing. Created things are all good things, but when we treat a created thing as an ultimate thing, something that makes life worth living, then it's an idol. No created thing should be an ultimate thing in our life. Only the Creator is ultimate. When we worship and serve the creature rather than the Creator, then we are being idolatrous. Many people say, yeah, but I thought idolatry is when you bow down to a statue. I don't do that. The real problem with idolatry, even in ancient times, was in the heart. God said the elders of Israel had taken their idols into their hearts. And the Apostle Paul wrote that covetousness is idolatry. Idolatry is not just about statues, it's a matter of the heart. When the ancients worshiped the goddess of love, it was because they made relationships an ultimate thing in their heart. When they worshiped the god of war, it was because they made victory on the battlefield an ultimate thing in their heart. When they worshiped the god of the harvest, it was because they made a bumper crop an ultimate thing in their heart. They thought that a good harvest or victory or love or beauty or whatever would satisfy their deepest longings or save them from their deepest fears. They thought that if they had that, then they would have the good life. In other words, they looked to the creation for what only the Creator could provide. And we do the same thing today, without ever bowing down to a statue. Search your heart. Do you have idols lurking there? In what are you looking to for salvation or satisfaction? To what are you saying, you are my life? If you've made a good thing an ultimate thing in your life, how do you change that? How do you rid your heart from idols? The answer isn't always to remove the object of idolatry from our life, to stop loving it, or even to love it less. After all, our family can become the object of our idolatry. But the answer isn't to love them less. The answer is to love God more. We must allow ourselves to be filled with all the fullness of God, so our love for Him shoves everything else aside, out of His presence, out of the God place in our hearts. We must allow God's magnificence, beauty, and glory to fill our hearts and minds. This is why prayer, Bible study, praise, and even fasting are so important. These acts help us to see the glory and majesty of God and diminish our dependence on created things. We must become like Habakkuk, who essentially said, if I have no food, but I have God, then I'll rejoice. Or like Jeremiah, who essentially said, even when my city and my people are in ruins, the Lord is my portion, and I'll hope in Him. Or like the Apostle Paul, who believed that when everything else was rubbish except for knowing the Lord. The only people whose hearts are truly free from idols are those who can honestly say, "The Lord is all I need. He is my joy. He is my hope, my pursuit, my life, my all." When we let God be our God, when we are completely satisfied in Him, and when we completely embrace the salvation that He offers, we won't go looking for those things anywhere else. We'll have no need for false gods. We won't look to money or hobbies or our spouse or children or any other created thing to satisfy us or save us. Because of that, we won't expect them to be perfect or eternal. We will love them, cherish them, and enjoy them for who and what they are. You'll never enjoy anyone or anything in creation when you expect it to be perfect or eternal. But when you are fully satisfied in God, you can cherish and be thankful for all the good things God has created for us to enjoy. Try it, and you'll see.